Hello and welcome everybody to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on all our social networks and to catch us every day by logging onto our website, mexiconewsnetwork.com, for relevant stories and news. Let's start with today's show. Richard Branson, CEO of Virgin Group, believes that Mexico has the potential to be among the top 3 countries in the world, and believes that entrepreneurs will pave the way for that to happen. Speaking at a press conference at the Entrepreneurship Festival Monterrey, Branson said that entrepreneurs are the people who are employing more people in all the big cities, so we have to support them. It's definitely going in that direction here in Mexico, and I think that with the determination of political leaders and businesses, there's no reason why it shouldn't get there. When I started 50 years ago, interest rates were at 18%. Interest rates today are just a few percentage points. So, if you have an idea that will make a positive difference in the lives of other people, you need to develop it. Virgin Group President and founder Sir Richard Branson also said entrepreneurs should be able to overcome any obstacle, even the recent election of the next President of the United States, Donald Trump. Like many people in the country, I'm very sad about what happened in America. I'm saddened by the rhetoric he represents, Branson said during his press conference with Mexican media. The owner of Virgin Galactic also said Mexico has the potential to become one of the world's major powers. Mexico could be one of the top 3 powers in the world, and entrepreneurs have the potential to make it happen. It's good to see Mexico on that road, he said. Moving on, Germany's centre-right Chancellor, Angela Merkel, announced she'll be running for a 4th term in office. Speaking at a meeting of her Christian Democratic Union Party in Berlin, she said she expected her toughest campaign to date and vowed to fight for values and our way of life. Mrs. Merkel's poll ratings have slipped since the height of her popularity, but she retains wide support. The Chancellor, who has been in office since 2005, is being challenged by the populist right-wing AfD party. In September, Mrs. Merkel accepted responsibility for election defeats for the CDU in several states and conceded that her open-door policy towards migrants was a factor. Germany expected up to 300,000 migrants to arrive in the country this year. The head of the country's Federal Office for Migration and Refugees said earlier this year. In 2015, Germany received more than 1 million applications for asylum. Mrs. Merkel's approval ratings have gone up and down in recent months as a result of her refugee policy, but they remain the envy of other world leaders. Even so, she'll be battling the tide of populism that swept Donald Trump to victory in the States, and which is also washing across Europe. The anti-Muslim party Alternative für Deutschland, AfD, is likely to win seats in the national parliament next year. It's highly unlikely to take Mrs. Merkel down, but it's leeching votes from Germany's established political parties. Those parties are by and large likely to be relieved by Mrs. Merkel's decision. In the past few years, the job of German Chancellor has become one of the most powerful political positions in the world. The next incumbent must not only lead the country, but deal with a fragmenting European Union, in a world which may be much changed by the new US administration. If she wins next year's elections, she would equal the post-war record set by Helmut Kohl, who was Chancellor from 1982 to 1998. Germany, Europe's economic powerhouse, does not have term limits on the country's top job. In other news, Mexico could raise interest rates yet again before the end of 2016. Central Bank Governor Agustin Carstens said on Friday as the country tries to curb inflationary pressures from a sharp drop in its peso currency. There's no way I'll rule that out, Carstens told local radio when asked about the prospect of another rate hike. Mexico's central bank hiked interest rates to their highest in over 7 years last Thursday and warned that the election of Donald Trump as US president had cast doubt on the direction of Latin America's second largest economy. The Banco de Mexico raised its key rate 50 basis points to 5.25%, its highest since May of 2009. The bank's rate increase took Mexico's borrowing costs to their highest level in more than 7 years. What we're trying to do is reach a balance, which is not easy, between not lagging behind reality and, on the other hand, neither do we anticipate news or speculation that might not be right and that could impose additional costs on the economy that aren't necessary to impose, Carstens said. He described the 50-point hike as significant after he was asked why the bank did not approve a bigger increase. The bank will closely monitor the US Federal Reserve's December monetary policy decision, scheduled 1 day ahead of the Mexican Central Bank's December 15 meeting, Carstens said. And finally, let's take a look at those markets. The Mexican peso decreased 0.68% to 20.31 from 20.44 in the previous trading session. The peso changed up 0.29% during the last week, up 9.49% during the last month, and was up 22.66% during the last year. IPC Mexico decreased 1.22% to 44,356 from 44,902 in the previous trading session. The IPC Mexico changed down 1.9% during the last week, down 7.8% during the last month, and was down 0.34% during the last year. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Log on also to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.